Hi, I'm Amy Pollard and I'm a reporter at My Local News. I'm here with Rebecca at Fairfield Church in Northwood Hills. So how did you sort of get involved with all your work in Mexico?
Well, my husband is Mexican, and though we met and started a family here in England, and we lived in Northwood Hills and attended here Fairfield Church for many years, the plan was always to return back to Mexico. And so we went back about 3.5 years ago, and have been finding our feet, especially me and my children, getting into the realities of living in the Mexican culture. But basically we were living there when the earthquake happened on the 19th of September 2017, so last year now. And just until about 8 weeks before the earthquake had happened, we had been living for about 10 months in a town called Jojutla, which is in Morelos, in the state of Morelos, central Mexico, which is basically the state that was worst hit by the earthquake of the 19th of September. And so, in a sense, we had a sense of, wow, we moved just before this terrible event happened. But on the other hand, of course, we had lots of people we'd met and become friendly with during that time who were affected by the earthquake. And so, through a contact, a good friend that we have there in Morelos, she asked us for some help with medical supplies. And we went out on our first trip with some friends, and including some doctors and physio and people who could help us distribute this material and make and give people some medical care. But then we found that in the hospitals, because we were trying to finish distributing all the material we'd purchased before we went on the first trip, we found that in the hospitals there were a lot of people who had multiple fractures and injuries resulting from the earthquake, who really needed medical attention and needed operations to repair the fractures. And they just didn't have enough money because they had to actually pay for their operations. And they'd been waiting for days there in the hospital. They were given a hospital bed, but they were not giving any treatment because they couldn't afford it. Most of these people have very, very low incomes and have unskilled, often labouring sort of jobs. And so they were there. That I don't know how long they'd be staying there if they didn't get the help required. But basically, our sort of focus shifted a little bit from just getting the supplies to helping these people with their operations and their surgery costs.
So how did you sort of go about organising all the help that you could give the people?
Well, I mean, initially it was the first time we went out. It was let's send a message to our closest friends and family and see if they would support us so we can get some of these medical supplies. So that's how we got our funding. And then we have a doctor, a good friend who's a doctor, who has a good friend who works for a pharmaceutical company, so he could get us the supplies at a discount, basically factory. Well, I don't know if you call it factory, but, very, very low price. And so we got quite a lot of the stuff we needed for the amount of money we had. And then when we got into covering the operations, it was literally just getting the money from our friends and contacts, which then we went a little bit wider and we asked our friends to recommend us to their friends and so on, just making the web a little bit bigger. And so the money that came in was literally just go into our personal account, which we're trying to sort out now, setting up a little charity. And then from our account to our friend Lisa's account. And she's the one who then went straight to the hospital and paid for the operation. So it was, hand to hand, person to person. There was no agency involved, and there was no local government or mysterious charity involved.
So how many people did you help?
Altogether, there were 45 people who were able to have their operations. And here we're just talking mostly multiple fractures and really terrible concussions and broken skulls and things like that. But yeah, mostly knees and legs and hip bones, collarbones and skulls are the main things that we...
So what are your sort of plans for the future? Are you hoping to go back to Mexico or
Oh, we actually live in Mexico. We're only visiting here right now. We've been here for a week and we're just staying a few days longer.
Yeah.
We're just visiting. It's the first time we've come back after 3.5 years. But yeah, we're going back to Mexico, and our main emphasis now is, because there's no opportunity anymore to operate on any more people, what we're doing now is making sure that the people that have had their surgeries can recover as well as can be expected. So a lot of them have been left without a home. Many of them will not be able to work in the same job they had because of their injuries and so on. But we're just making sure they have the medical help they need, so medicines and a doctor going around to see them. We often take a physio as well who can recommend what exercises they should be doing and so on. And some of the poorest of the poor families we've encountered, we're basically trying to give them a little monthly stipend until they're recovered. Yeah. Very little money. I mean, we're talking about it's basically like £50, but in that part of the world, and for people in their circumstances, it can go a long way.
A lot of money, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for speaking to us, and good luck back in Mexico.
Thank you.